A few weeks ago, I had a social media post that went viral. Using my own standard, the social media post got almost 9,000 views, 160 plus shares, and almost 500 hearts and saves, and dozens of comments. And I'm talking about comments, paragraphs after paragraphs, people sharing with me how much they resonated with my comments, and they are also sharing their perspectives regarding the issue that I posted. I was so excited about the strong engagement. After all, it took me so much time, energy, and effort to actually create a good piece of content that resonated with people. However, I also got a few mean comments. Even though there were only 3 mean comments out of the hundreds of engagements that I got, I want to be honest with you, those 3 mean comments really affected me. They didn't destroy me, but they definitely affected me. I noticed the energy shift in my body, the hurt, the pain. I felt it, and I didn't like it. In fact, that night, I was feeling pretty bad that I almost thought about deleting the entire app from my smartphone. I also sat with the feelings for quite some time, trying to process what happened and trying to understand why I felt the way I did. Here's what I kept thinking. I am almost 47 years old. I have a PhD degree and a master's degree, and I have 20 years of professional experience in education. I have coached hundreds of teenagers and young adults, helping them achieve their goals, overcoming similar challenges. I have spoken on the TEDx stage. I was interviewed by Katie Couric and Glamour magazine. I have been featured in Forbes and delivered keynote speeches, talks, and presentations in quite a few countries and for a few major brands. And even with that, a few mean comments from complete strangers on the internet still had the power to get into my head and get into my heart. That is what inspired me to create this video for you. Because if those 3 comments affected me, a nearly 47-year-old woman with 2 decades of professional working experience in education and a solid sense of who she is, what is this type of mean comments going to do to our 14 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old teenagers and young adults? And that is what we're going to discuss in this video. I'm going to share with you my social media posts that went viral. I will also share with you the mean comments that I got. And most importantly, I will share with you 3 powerful solutions in case your teenager or young adult runs into a similar situation. If this is what you are interested in learning more about, please keep watching. So let's take a look at the social media post that actually went viral. I'm excited to share it with you. So this is the social media post, and it is actually on a Chinese social media app called 小红书. And so the post, I actually also shared the post on LinkedIn. I just translated the post into Chinese language on this really popular Chinese social media app, but the content is exactly the same. And I'm talking about something I'm super passionate about. This is what I work with the teens and young adults in my coaching program on a daily basis, helping them have a healthier relationship with their digital media devices so that they can do deep work and have their attention, have their ability to do deep work being protected. And so what I did was that I took a screenshot of a few popular articles talking about this problem, such as the one you are seeing here, how YouTube took over the American classroom. I argued based on the article, based on research, that having access to one Chromebook, nonstop access to social media, digital media devices is actually doing more harm than good, including education technology. And so I shared my perspective. I shared my solutions. And as you can see, this is the post on this Chinese social media app. So gained almost 9,000 views and gained 160 shares. Even to this day, I did this post on May 5th, so quite a few weeks ago. And even to this day, this post is still generating traffic, still generating organic engagement, which is super exciting. And as I shared with you earlier, 247 hearts and 232 saves. So it is a very strong post, again, using my own standards, and very excited. And here are the 3 main comments. Again, I translated the comments for you. And so here's the first one, the very first circled comment. This person said that she wrote a lot, but her article has no point. And this is the second comment. And this person said that her answers, she didn't even answer my question, and her answers have nothing to do with the question I asked, which I don't think so. And the last one is here. And this person said that for most people, when they combine English and Chinese, so to give you the context for this is that I left China to come to America to pursue graduate school in my early 20s. So right now, as I said earlier, I'm almost 47. So I have already spent more time, more years in America than in China. Unfortunately, my Chinese language has deteriorated quite a bit. And so in order for me to clearly articulate myself, I oftentimes, unfortunately, have to use a combination of Chinese language and English language to best articulate myself, express my perspective on a very important topic. So that is what this person is talking about. So this person said that for most people, when they combine English and Chinese, which is how I talk, they can clearly articulate themselves, but not for her. I cannot even finish reading her article. She doesn't sound like a college professor. This last part definitely hurts. Okay, so this is the context for the very post, and those are the 3 comments. However, I want to be very clear about something. I'm not sharing those comments to hate on those people. I do not hate those people. I'm sharing those comments because I think every parent, you watching this video right now, you need to see using your own eyes what the comment section looks like when your kid has decided to put him or herself out there for public judgment. What I shared is not an imagined situation. This is not a worst case scenario. There are definitely hundreds of worst cases than what I shared. However, what I shared is a real situation that happened to me a few weeks ago. And here is what I want you to think about for a second. I read those comments and I felt something. I felt hurt. I felt misunderstood. And I really wanted to fight back. To defend myself, I almost wanted to take a picture of my PhD degree and my master degree. And also, I wanted to take a picture of my recent alumni award from the University of Maryland, which I can actually share with you. So here, this is my big award from the University of Maryland, and to acknowledge my coaching work and how many young people's lives I have changed, have impacted, and literally changed so many young people's life trajectories. And so I got the award. So I almost wanted to take a picture of my degree and to take a picture of my award and message those people and send those things to them. But I didn't, thankfully. Because I know for a fact that the more I engage with those people, guess what? The more they will engage back, meaning the more mean comments that I'm going to receive. And I definitely don't want that. But I can definitely feel the urge inside me to defend myself and to post something to revenge, to reciprocate that. So I'm glad I didn't. Meanwhile, a little voice in the back of my head keeps asking and questioning and asking me this question: why would someone say something like that to a complete stranger they have never met before? Like, those people, they don't know me. They don't know my work. So in fact, the day I got those 3 mean comments, I didn't sleep well. And as I shared earlier, I almost deleted the entire app from my smartphone. But this is the part that stopped me. because I know better, because I know this is my work and I have the tools, I have the framework, and I have been doing inner work for years, if not decades. However, those three comments still got me. So I think this is what made my case very interesting, because this is literally what I help the teenagers and young adults in my coaching program to overcome challenges like online bullying, overcoming self-doubt, build that solid internal self-awareness, self-clarity, so that you know who you are, that nothing happens outside you can destroy you. And this is the work I do. And on top of that, I know who I am. I have done the inner work and to build my internal foundation, and I have the degrees, and I have been doing this work for 20 plus years. Okay. And I have served hundreds of teenagers and young adults at this point in my coaching career. And in fact, my entire coaching framework is based on helping young people build their internal self-clarity. However, those comments still affected me. Didn't destroy me, but definitely got into my head and definitely got into my heart. So when I sat with that feeling of negativity that night and almost wanted to delete my app from my smartphone, and I remembered an interview between MrBeast and the Diary of a CEO. For those of you who don't know who is MrBeast, he's the largest social media content creator across the globe with millions of subscribers and followers across all social media channels. And Stephen Bartlett, he is an incredible, extremely successful entrepreneur, business owner, and a podcast host. So in this interview, Stephen asked MrBeast a very profound question, and MrBeast's answer completely shocked me. So Stephen asked MrBeast, are you happy? So I'm going to play the clip for you right now to hear MrBeast, his response. And let me know what you think about his response in the comment section. So this is the clip, Stephen Bartlett and with MrBeast. And I'm going to play the whole thing for you right now. So pay attention when Stephen asked MrBeast, who is this guy, that question, are you happy?
There's a reason no one makes videos like me, because no one wants to live the life I live or be in my head. They would be miserable.
Are you happy?
I'm gonna be honest. So far, more unhappy than happy.
Well, has it ever crossed your mind to quit YouTube as a whole?
Oh yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh boy.
MrBeast.
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 He is the biggest YouTuber on the planet.
And he's building empires. I mean, is there anything this man can't do?
Your business empire is much bigger than most people realize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 26 and we have the largest YouTube channel in the world. And Beast Games is gonna shatter some pretty crazy records. And we do 9 figures in Feastables. But a lot of that stems from being a very confused child that's not fitting in, that feels like a freak. Plus, I really wanted to take care of my mom because when I was 11, we literally went bankrupt and lost everything. Luckily, it worked out. And it's because I'm really good at obsessing over one thing more than anyone else on the planet. And I just really love solving complex problems. Like, how many kids do you think are in child labor in West Africa, just on cocoa farms? It's 1.5 million. And so with Feastables, we were trying to get over 1 million kids out of child labor. But the ironic part is the more I help people, the more I get. Like, I've read over 5,000 messages telling me to kill myself. I mean, there's definitely times where I would cry. But if my mental health was a priority, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. This is the price you have to pay.
But when is enough enough?
Honestly,
what do you think? You heard it. MrBeast mentioned that he's more unhappy than happy, and 5,000 plus people ask him to kill himself. That is so sad. But I do want to make it clear, this video is not about MrBeast. It's not about whether or not you are a fan of MrBeast. That is not the point. The point is this. MrBeast is arguably the most successful content creator across the entire globe. Hundreds of millions of followers, subscribers across all of his social media channels. He has more reach, more impact, more visibility than almost any other content creators on this planet right now. And people are still telling him to end his life in the comment section with no guardrails, no accountability, no consequences, no one to step in and say, hey, listen, you cannot say that to another human being, regardless of you like the person or not. So MrBeast is more unhappy than happy, which I can totally understand. So that interview clip stayed with me when I was sitting with my own very, very small experience of what it feels like to be on the receiving end of online bullying. Because if MrBeast, with every resource, every team member, every layer of distance between him and his comment section is still being affected by those negative comments, what are we expecting from our 14 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old teenagers and young adults? So I thought about the teens and young adults in my coaching program. Many of them are smart, capable, so much potential, and they want to have a good life. Even though they do have challenges, they want to have a good life, and they are very, very capable. They are still trying to figure out who they are. They are still building that internal foundation of who I am, what am I, what are my values. I mean, that's why they hurt me. They do not yet have the inner clarity or foundation to hold themselves steady when the social media world is trying to destroy them. That's why having a coach like me can be so powerful and so necessary. And of course, I'm not saying this to force you to have your team work with me. And I do have an interview process that they need to pass in order to work with me. But that's not the point. The point is that if your kid is actually posting content online, is actually running a few social media accounts, they really must have someone like me to help them build their internal foundation of their self-awareness, who they are, their self-worth, their core values. So whatever happens outside, whatever happens on social media, it's not going to destroy them. It's not going to affect them for a long, long, long time. So anyway, in my case, as I said, with my negative feeling of being misunderstood, being treated quite unfairly, I thought about what those same comments would do to teenagers and young adults who are still trying to build that internal foundation of self-awareness, who are still trying to figure out who they are, who are still trying to build their self-worth from the inside out. So from this perspective, I am so happy that this experience actually happened to me. Because now I know, not from research, not from the data, not from an article. Now I know from my personal lived experience, from sitting with that feeling myself, from understanding the pain, the hurt in my own body, what it costs to be visible online. And this experience is exactly why I'm doing this whole video here, why I'm so excited that you are watching this video, and definitely share if you actually gain something valuable from my video so that more parents can hear about this and protect our teenagers and young adults. So now let's look at the 3 solutions or recommendations that I recommend to parents like you in case your kid is trying to handle a similar situation, or just in case at some point in their life, they are going to run into a similar situation. So let's dive into the solutions. Before we dive into the 3 specific solutions or recommendations from me, I want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Jonathan Haidt and this book, The Anxious Generation. If you haven't read this book yet, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. This is such a great book. Definitely one of my favorite books. And you can check out the link in the description box. And in fact, this book came out, I think, 2 years ago, if not 3, and is still on the New York Times bestselling book list here, number 15, The Anxious Generation, for 100+ weeks on the list, which is pretty incredible. For those of you who don't know Jonathan, he is a social psychologist at New York University, Stern School of Business. He got his PhD from the University of Pennsylvania, a best-selling author. And I think he just recently did another TED Talk in Canada. So technically 5 TED Talks. And his other books are also very incredible. And numerous media interviews, appearances. And this latest book is a best-selling book. In fact, this book has gone viral as we're talking about social media posts going viral. And so in this book, Jonathan used lots of research to argue that the widespread adoption of smartphones and social media, particularly after 2012, is one of the primary drivers of teen mental health crisis. And later, in many of his interviews, he did mention one thing that he underestimated regarding the damage in this book is how much social media, digital media devices are affecting our young people's ability to focus, their attention span, and their ability to engage in deep work. So I really appreciate that perspective because through my work with teenagers and young adults, and I'm definitely seeing a pattern, I really have to help them how to discipline their environment, put away their phones so that they can actually engage in deep and focused work. So in this book, Jonathan shared 4 recommendations for parents. And the first one is no smartphone before high school and no social media before 16, and definitely send your kid to a phone-free school. And I think ever since the publication of the book, more and more parents and school districts are being more aware of the danger and the side effects of media devices, social media, one-on-one Chromebook on our children's ability to learn and focus. And so many school districts are taking action, including I know my school district where we are based in, they just passed a policy that students are not allowed to use phone. So technically, I think we can consider our school district a phone-free district. Last but not least, far more unsupervised playtime and childhood independence. So in this book, not related to social media technology, he made a very strong argument that one mistake that parents make is that we are becoming overly and more protective of the offline environment and underprotective of the online environment, meaning that when our kids is going outside, having a play date, we ask our kids, where are you going? We pay lots of attention and we request the parents' contact information just in case something happens, which is great. However, when it comes to online environment, that we are not paying as much attention as we should because many of the risk factors are moving to the online environment. So I thought that was such a great point. So I love all of the 4 recommendations. However, when I was reading the book, one question I kept asking myself is, what if your kid is older than 16? What if your kid is already on social media and digital media devices? What do you do about it? Because I do work with lots of kids who are junior, senior, high school, and even college students. So I know for this age group, parents no longer have so much influence over their kids. Their kids have so much more independence. So what do you do? So it is in this context that I share my 3 specific recommendations. And so, yeah, those are the 2 questions that I mentioned earlier. What if your kid older than 16? What do you do about it? So I have 3 to share with you. And the very first solution is based on this learning model, Bloom Taxonomy. This is one of my favorite learning educational models. When I was a college professor, when I designed homework, assignments, projects for my undergraduate students, I used this model a lot. So I made an effort to design projects, homework, assignments that really invited students to create, not just memorize. Because remembering and memorization are the lowest level of learning. Creation is the highest level of learning. And I really believe that. So creation, when you pay attention to the verbs, what it means to design, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, author, and investigate. So in this regard, social media can be a really powerful tool to have our teenagers, young adults create. So if you have a teen who's older than 16, my number one solution is focus on creation over consumption. As I said, creation is indeed the highest level of learning. In fact, if your kid is a really strong video editor, content creator, there are so many jobs they can take. And in fact, they can even start their own business. So it is indeed a really, really powerful skill. And when your teen is creating something, they can do a video, a poster, a piece of content that really affects their thinking, their perspective, their voice, and maybe even their thought leadership. They are operating at the top of the learning pyramid. And that is incredible. They are synthesizing ideas. They are creating something new. They're gathering information. They're thinking, they're creating. And I think that is really, really powerful. And they are developing their own point of view and learning how to communicate that perspective passionately, professionally, and hopefully ethically. So to me, this is not a waste of time. This is actually one of the most powerful learning experiences available to a teenager or young adult for free. Because most young people have a smartphone and they can easily do this. They just need to flip this from being a passive consumer to an active content creator. Because passive consumption sits at the bottom of the learning pyramid. They're just passively receiving. When they do that, they allow all the big technology, allow those big tech companies or other influencers, they allow their agenda to dictate their own agenda. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is not good. So, but if they create, they can be their own benchmark. They can make their own judgment, their own discernment regarding what they want to do, what they don't want to do, how to share their voice. So this is a much more powerful way and to build and grow their cognitive ability and creativity. So if your teen has to be on social media and is older than 16, really help them shift their focus from being a consumer to a creator. This is exactly what I do with the young adults in my coaching program. I encourage them to be active on LinkedIn, build their thought leadership, develop their personal brand. They can have a podcast. They can interview industry professionals in a field that they want to pursue. I recently definitely check out this video here or here. This summer, which I will tell you more about in a second, I'm really excited and honored to do an in-person 5-day summer workshop collaborating with Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C., and to really, the focus of the 5-day workshop is to help a young person build that internal self-awareness and discover who they are. So in order to really serve my workshop students, I created a student leader panel, a number of speakers. Some of the speakers will join in person, which is super exciting. Some of the speakers will join virtually. So one student speaker is a senior at a high school and is going to start his freshman year at Brown University, which is super exciting. And he is such a great example of doing long form interview, leveraging LinkedIn, leveraging social media, leveraging media devices. So what he did is that he and his co-author, they interviewed 60 plus incredible, successful business owners, entrepreneurs to share their lessons when they are creating their company, and they compiled, analyzed, synthesized the interview data, and they published a book. And their book has become so successful that they got speaking engagement. So definitely check out the video so you can hear more about it. And I'm really excited. This student is joining me in person at this 5-day in-person camp to share more about how he's utilizing social media, not just to consume, but actually to create. This is the easiest way to really help your kid turn something destructive into something constructive, because creation builds a powerful identity, even thought leadership. Consumption erodes it. Okay, so this is the first solution. And the second recommendation solution is turn off the comment section. This is a non-negotiable for me. And I say that from my personal experience. And you saw what happened to me earlier. And Not to mention that I'm 47 almost, and I have been doing this work for 20 plus years. So I know what I'm talking about. I know who I am. And even with that, I was affected by only 3. It sounds kind of ridiculous, a little bit dramatic. How could 3 comments affect me? But it did. So here's the thing. Those mean comments are coming. Not maybe, possibly, but definitely, certainly. It doesn't matter how thoughtful your kid, their content is, how mature they are, how responsible they are, mean comments will come. You heard that from MrBeast. So the moment your kid is visible online, they become a target for people, right? So this is what I recommend. Let your kid create, like the example I shared with you earlier, interview people, like writing a book, having a podcast, build their voice, and even build their personal brand. Have a presence on LinkedIn. I work with lots of college students. One thing I recommend them do is to create a professional presence on LinkedIn. Right? Put something meaningful, impactful into the real world. At the same time, turn off the comment section as they do that, especially in the very beginning. So I recommend this is your kid's internal foundation. This must be a match with the outside environment. The bigger their personal brand is going to be, the stronger their self-awareness internal foundation must be, so that this internal foundation can hold whatever is happening outside. So the comment section is always there. Whenever they're ready, they can turn it on. So that's the second solution, which is very easy to implement. And last but not least, which is also my personal favorite, this is a long-term solution, which is to strengthen and build your children's internal foundation, such as their self-awareness, their resilience level, their self-worth. This is a long-term game, and honestly, the most important one. And this is why I love what I do so much. Of course, I'm biased because I help my students build such lifelong skills. To me, such a skill is 10 times more powerful than having another A on their transcript, because that A may not benefit your kid for the rest of their lives. However, having a solid self-awareness, internal understanding of who they are, and internal self-resilience can benefit your kid for the rest of their lives, because eventually your kid will be exposed to public criticism, judgment. Eventually, they will be old enough, resilient enough, and self-aware enough that no public comment from complete strangers can destroy them. They will eventually step up into a more public life, especially if your kid is so smart, so capable, they have so much potential. And I encourage them to step up into leadership position at their school, in their local community, in their region, and maybe even national leadership positions. So they are going to be criticized, they are going to be judged by the public eye. That is a guarantee, especially if your kid is so capable. So instead of having your kid escape from or shying away from those incredible opportunities, why not build up their internal self-awareness and resilience? So the question is that, who will your kid be when that moment comes? You cannot wait when that moment comes and then all of a sudden start to help your kid build their internal resilience foundation, self-awareness foundation. That will be too late. The best time to build that foundation is now, so that when that future day comes, your kid is ready. I'm ready to lead. I'm ready for public judgment. I'm ready for public criticism. A teenager or young adult kid who has been building their self-awareness, they know their values, they understand their own emotional patterns, they can self-regulate, just like what I did. So the 3 mean comments, they affect me, but thankfully just for one night. The next day, I was good. The reason that I had a fast recovery, I have a really short psychological refractory period, is because I have a solid understanding of who I am. I know who I am. I know I have that degree. I know I do good work. So so much clarity that anything outside will not affect me long-term speaking, right? So it will hurt, but not destroy them, will not knock them over, because they already have a solid foundation for who they are, what they stand for, and their self-worth is built internally, right? So this is why on my channel and in my work, and in fact, my entire coaching framework, which I shared quite a few times on my channel, it is called the Clarity Advantage Framework. So clarity is everything. And many of the challenges that you are seeing in your kid right now, maybe procrastination, maybe self-doubt, all of those are manifestations of a very deep issue. The deep issue is a lack of self-awareness. Self-awareness builds confidence, builds resilience, and builds motivation. Okay, so with that, I want to invite you, if you understand the importance of self-awareness, you're like, Doctor, this is such a powerful video, I resonate with everything you are saying. I invite you to invite your kid to join my 5-day in-person workshop. So I'll be doing, this is my collaboration with the Sidwell Friends School in the Washington, D.C. campus. It is a 5-day in-person workshop for high school students only. And the focus of this entire workshop is to help a young person find their voice, discover who they are, discover their core values, so that they have that internal foundation so solid, so strong, that whatever happens outside, online, they will not be affected because they know who they are. And so this is you can scan this and register for the camp. So the camp has 5 days, three phases: self-discovery, values to action, and anchor in your voice. I'm super excited about this. So you can scan this QR code here, or in the description, there is a link for you to go to that link and register for the camp. Okay. In fact, so here is, in fact, this is the link, Sidwell Summer. And so you just click here, register now, and then you search for my camp. So this is my camp, find your voice. So search for my camp, register for my camp. It is a small learning environment because I want to make sure that I have enough one-on-one coaching time with each kid. So definitely register, use the link in the description box. So finally, I want to end this with a few final words from me. So I'm doing this entire video, and I want to be very clear. The goal is not to raise a teenager or young adult kid who is never affected by what other people say or think about them. That is not resilience. That is just being numb. So that is not the point. The goal is to raise a teen or young adult who knows who they are so clearly, who has built such a solid foundation, and that so much that when the outside is trying to destroy them by telling them who they are not, they already know who they are from the inside out. So the outside noise is not going to destroy them. And this is really the work I do inside, as I shared with you. My entire coaching framework is called the Clarity Advantage Framework inside my Haidt coaching program. This is really the foundation to raise competent, confident, motivated, and resilient teenagers and young adults. So this is the foundation piece. And if you see the importance of this, I really want to encourage you to join my 5-day. This is really my very first time opening up a portion of my coaching curriculum to the outside. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm really excited and honored to partner up with Sidwell, which is an incredible independent school in the DC area. Okay. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, definitely check out this video here or here. In that video, I discuss 3 hidden dangers of social media that most parents are not aware of. Most parents, when it comes to social media, would think about mental health. But there's so much more than mental health that are also affecting our kids that I think every parent must know. And so in this video here, I shared the 3 hidden dangers outside the social media conversation. So definitely check it out. And thank you so much for another great video. I hope to see your kid at my 5-day in-person summer workshop. Thank you so much. Bye.